When Earth's leaders defied the Galactic Council, the galaxy shook. Part 1. First contact. The morning sky over Washington, D.C. was clear blue when the alien ship appeared. It did not come with a boom or a flash. One moment the sky was empty, and the next moment the ship was there. It hung in the air like a giant silver teardrop, smooth and shining in the sunlight. Admiral John Carter was having coffee in the Pentagon when the first reports came in. His phone buzzed with an urgent message, then buzzed again and again. He looked down at the screen and nearly dropped his cup. "Get me to the Situation Room now," he told his aide, a young lieutenant named Frank Wilson. Within 20 minutes, Admiral Carter was sitting in a room with the highest-ranking military officials in the country. On screens around them, the alien ship floated, now surrounded by military jets that looked tiny beside it. "It's 3 miles long," said General Susan Green, pointing to the measurements on one of the screens. "Our pilots report no visible weapons, no openings, no signs of hostile intent. But it's not responding to any of our attempts to communicate." President Samantha Rivera walked into the room, her face calm, but her eyes showing worry. Everyone stood as she entered. "What do we know?" she asked, taking her seat at the head of the table. Admiral Carter cleared his throat. "Madam President, the object appeared in our atmosphere at 0847 hours. It bypassed all our early warning systems. We have no idea how it got here without detection. It's currently holding position at 30,000 feet above the Capitol." "Have we tried to communicate with it?" the President asked. "Yes, ma'am. All frequencies, including some experimental ones. No response yet." As if triggered by his words, one of the screens in the room suddenly changed. Instead of showing the outside of the ship, it showed a face. Or at least, they thought it was a face. The being had skin that shimmered like mother of pearl. It had 2 large eyes that were completely black. Where a human would have a nose, it had only slight bumps. Its mouth was small and seemed to have no lips. "People of Earth," the being said in perfect English, though its mouth barely moved. "I am Ambassador Zorlath of the Galactic Council. We have been observing your world for many years." The room went completely silent. President Rivera stood up and stepped toward the screen. "This is President Samantha Rivera of the United States of America. I speak on behalf of the people of Earth. We welcome you in peace." The alien's head tilted slightly. "Your world has many leaders. The Galactic Council wishes to speak to all of them. We will wait while you gather them." The screen went blank. "Well," said the Secretary of Defense, Peter Brown, "that was direct." President Rivera turned to her Chief of Staff. "Get me the UN Secretary General on the phone. We need to organize a global video conference immediately. And someone find out if that transmission went to every country or just us." The next 12 hours were the most intense of John Carter's 30-year military career. Reports confirmed that the alien had appeared on screens in every major government building around the world, speaking in the local language each time. Some countries had responded with fear, moving military assets into position. Others had immediately called for calm and cooperation. By midnight, the Global Earth Alliance was activated for the first time since its creation 10 years earlier, after the last World War. The alliance had been formed as a way for countries to respond to planet-wide threats, but no one had imagined its first test would be alien contact. President Rivera sat at the center of a horseshoe table in the United Nations building in New York. Around her were the leaders of Russia, China, the European Union, India, Brazil, Japan, and 20 other nations. Some were present in person, others appeared on screens. "The ship has not moved," Rivera told them. "It has made no aggressive actions. Their only communication was a request to speak to all of Earth's leaders together. I believe we should respond as one voice." The Russian president, Viktor Petrov, leaned forward. "And if their intentions are not peaceful, we should be prepared. My military tells me we have no weapons that could likely harm a civilization capable of that ship," Rivera replied. "Our best option is diplomacy." After 2 hours of debate, they agreed. The Global Earth Alliance would represent humanity. President Rivera would be their main speaker, but each major region would have input. At dawn, they sent their response to the ship. Within minutes, a beam of light shot down from the alien vessel, creating a hologram in the center of the UN chamber. The shimmering figure of Ambassador Zorlath stood before them, now showing its full body. It was tall and thin, with 4 arms and legs that bent in unusual ways. "Greetings, leaders of Earth," the alien said. "The Galactic Council has observed your species' development with great interest. You have reached a critical point in your evolution. You have developed the beginnings of space travel. You have created weapons that could destroy your planet. You have begun to understand the basic rules of the universe." The ambassador paused, its black eyes scanning the room. "It is the policy of the Galactic Council to offer guidance to emerging species. We invite Earth to join the Council as a protected world. We will share knowledge with you. We will help solve your environmental problems. We will teach you to travel among the stars safely." President Rivera stepped forward. "This is a generous offer, Ambassador. What would Earth's obligations be in this arrangement?" The alien's skin changed color slightly, becoming more blue than white. "As is standard for all Level 2 civilizations, Earth would agree to limits on independent space exploration. Your military development would be overseen by Council advisors. Your resource usage would be regulated to prevent damage to nearby space. These are small prices to pay for the benefits of Council protection." A murmur spread through the room. The Chinese Premier Lin Wei stood up. "Ambassador, while we appreciate your offer, these terms sound more like those for a colony than a partner." "You misunderstand," Zorlath said. "The Galactic Council has thousands of years of experience integrating new species. These measures are for your own protection and for the safety of the galaxy. Young species often make dangerous mistakes without guidance." President Rivera felt a chill run down her spine. The words were polite, but the message was clear. The aliens did not see humans as equals. "Ambassador," she said firmly, "Earth thanks the Galactic Council for its offer. We will need time to discuss this among ourselves before giving our answer." "Of course," Zorlath replied. "The Council grants you 7 Earth days to consider. We await your positive response." The hologram flickered and disappeared. In the silence that followed, Admiral Carter leaned close to President Rivera and whispered, "Did anyone else notice that the ambassador assumed our answer would be yes?" Rivera nodded slightly. "I noticed, and I don't like it one bit." When Earth's leaders defied the Galactic Council, the galaxy shook. Part 2. The Council's demands for the next 3 days. Earth's leaders met in private rooms deep beneath the United Nations building. Security was tight. No phones were allowed. No computers connected to outside networks. They feared the aliens might be listening. Admiral John Carter stood at a large table covered with maps and papers. Around him, military leaders from 12 countries argued about what to do. "We should accept their offer," said General Li from China. "We are not ready to fight beings who can cross the stars." "And become their pets?" Admiral Carter shook his head. Did no one else hear what they were really saying? They want to control our military, our space program, our resources. That's not protection, that's occupation. In another room, President Samantha Rivera met with scientists and diplomats. Dr. Patricia Moore, head of the Global Space Agency, pointed to images of the alien ship. "Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours," she said. "Maybe more. The energy required to travel between stars is enormous. If they wanted to harm us, they could have done it already." Lisa Wells, the communications expert who had been studying the aliens' messages, raised her hand. "There's something odd about how the ambassador speaks. He uses words like standard and policy a lot. It feels like he's reading from a script. I don't think they expected us to question their offer." President Rivera nodded. "I felt that too. It was as if he was surprised when we didn't immediately say yes." On the 4th day, they received another message from the ship. Ambassador Zorlath requested a meeting with a small group of human representatives aboard their vessel. After much debate, they agreed to send 5 people: President Rivera, Admiral Carter, Dr. Moore, the Secretary General of the UN, and the Russian president. They would represent Earth's political, military, and scientific interests. The next morning, the 5 humans stood on the roof of the UN building. A beam of blue light shot down from the ship above them. Admiral Carter felt a tingling sensation, and then he was standing in a large circular room with walls that seemed to be made of flowing liquid metal. Ambassador Zorlath greeted them, along with 2 other aliens. One looked like a tall insect with 6 limbs and compound eyes. The other was shorter, with red skin and 3 eyes arranged in a triangle. These are Council representatives, Ziknar and Peloros, Zorlath said. They will help explain what awaits Earth as a protected world of the Galactic Council. The alien called Ziknar stepped forward. Its voice had a clicking sound beneath the words. The Council currently protects 97 developing worlds across this sector of the galaxy. Earth will be the 98th. We have prepared a suitable integration plan based on your current technological level. Peloros, the red alien, pressed something on its wrist. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing Earth with dozens of small dots scattered across it. These will be the locations of Council monitoring stations, it said. From these bases, our advisors will help guide your development. They will ensure you do not develop technologies that could harm yourselves or others. Admiral Carter frowned. These look like military installations. They're positioned near our major cities and government centers. They are protection and guidance centers, Ziknar corrected. They will house only a small number of Council personnel, no more than 50,000 across your planet. 50,000? President Rivera's eyes widened. That's an occupation. Course. Zorlath's skin shimmered with blue patterns. You misunderstand. These advisors will help solve your most pressing problems. They will bring medical knowledge that will cure your diseases. They will help clean your polluted air and water. They will show you how to end hunger and poverty. At what cost? Asked the Russian president. What does the Council want from Earth? The 3 aliens looked at each other. Finally, Peloros spoke. Earth has something rare in the galaxy. Your planet has an unusually high concentration of certain heavy elements that are valuable to Council species. We will establish mining operations in regions you are not currently using. And we get no say in this? Dr. Moore asked. You will receive fair compensation, Zorlath said. Advanced technology, medical knowledge, protection from cosmic threats. Many protected worlds consider this an excellent exchange. President Rivera stepped forward. Ambassador, we appreciate your offer, but Earth is not ready to give up its independence. We would prefer to establish diplomatic relations as equals, not as a protected world. The room went silent. The 3 aliens stared at them with what seemed like shock, though it was hard to read their alien expressions. That is not possible, Ziknar finally said, its voice sharper than before. Your species is too young, too volatile. The Council has studied your history. You fight wars over territory, resources, and beliefs. You have weapons that could destroy your entire civilization. You are not ready for equal status. Admiral Carter felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. Every species has a violent past. I'm sure even Council members weren't perfect when they first reached the stars. The Council does not debate with Level 2 civilizations, Peloros said firmly. The terms have been set according to standard protocols. You have 3 more Earth days to accept them. After that, we will be forced to implement protective measures without your cooperation. Are you threatening us? The UN Secretary General asked. Zorlath's skin turned a deep blue. We are informing you of Council procedure. We have encountered resistance from young species before. It never ends well for them. President Rivera straightened her back. Then we have nothing more to discuss today. Please return us to Earth. The blue light surrounded them again, and moments later they were back on the roof of the UN building. The alien ship still hung in the sky above them, silent and threatening. That night, Earth's leaders gathered again. The mood was grim. They want our resources, Admiral Carter said. All that talk about protection is just pretty words to hide that they plan to strip mine our planet. And they'll put advisors everywhere to make sure we can't stop them, added the Chinese premier. President Rivera looked around the room at the faces of people from countries that had often been enemies. Now they were united by a common threat. "Have 3 days," she said. 3 days to decide if Earth bows to these demands or stands up for itself. The Russian president nodded slowly. "For the first time in history, we truly are one people. Earth against the stars." "But what can we do?" asked the British Prime Minister. "Their technology is far beyond ours." Admiral Carter exchanged looks with military leaders from other countries. "Maybe not as far beyond as they think. For the past 60 years, governments around the world have been studying unusual technologies. Things we've kept secret even from each other. I think it's time we shared what we know." President Rivera nodded. "Agreed. Every country puts all their cards on the table. No more secrets. Earth's freedom depends on it." When Earth's leaders defied the Galactic Council, the galaxy shook. Part 3. The Ultimatum. The next 2 days passed in a blur of activity. In secure rooms around the world, scientists and military experts shared their most secret projects with former enemies. What they discovered surprised everyone. The Russians had been studying strange metal found in Siberia that could absorb energy without heating up. The Chinese had developed shields that could block certain types of radiation. American scientists had been working on a device that could disrupt the space around it in ways they didn't fully understand. And in a small lab in Brazil, a team had been studying what they believed was a piece of alien technology that had crashed there 50 years ago. Dr. Patricia Moore coordinated these revelations from a makeshift lab beneath the UN building. She hadn't slept in 36 hours, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "If we combine the Russian metal with the American disruption device," she told President Rivera and Admiral Carter, "we might be able to create a weapon that affects their ship. The Brazilian tech suggests their ships use some kind of folded space for power. If we can disrupt that, we might be able to disable them temporarily." "How temporarily?" Admiral Carter asked. Dr. Moore shrugged. "Minutes, hours. We can't know without testing it, and we can't test it without revealing what we're doing." President Rivera looked at the plans spread across the table. "Will it harm the aliens inside the ship?" "No," Dr. Moore said. "It should only affect their technology, not organic life." "But President Rivera, we need to be clear about what we're considering. This would be an act of war against beings far more advanced than us." "They already threatened war," Admiral Carter reminded them. "They said they would implement protective measures if we don't agree to their terms. That's a threat." Rivera nodded slowly. "How quickly can you build this device?" "We've already started," Dr. Moore said. "Teams around the world are building components. We can have 3 devices ready by tomorrow morning, but we would need to place them in specific positions around the alien ship to create a triangulation effect." "That means aircraft," Admiral Carter said. "Military jets carrying the devices would need to get close to the alien ship." "Would they detect our planes approaching?" Rivera asked. Dr. Moore frowned. "Almost certainly. But we have one advantage. They don't think we're a threat. They might not react until it's too late." The door opened and Lisa Wells, the communications expert, hurried in, her face pale. "Madam President, we just received another message from the ship. The aliens are getting impatient. They want our answer now, not tomorrow." President Rivera took a deep breath. "Tell them I will deliver our answer personally in 2 hours. Request a meeting with Ambassador Zorlath on the roof of the UN building." As Lisa left to send the message, Admiral Carter moved closer to Rivera. "Are you sure about this? We could stall for more time." "No," Rivera said firmly. "If we wait, they might realize what we're doing. We need to keep them focused on diplomacy while the devices are positioned." Admiral Carter nodded. "I'll coordinate with air forces around the world. We'll have the devices in place before your meeting." 2 hours later, President Rivera stood alone on the roof of the UN building. The alien ship hung in the sky above her, silent and threatening. A blue light beamed down and Ambassador Zorlath appeared before her. "President Rivera," the alien said, "the Council is pleased that you have reached a decision earlier than expected. You have chosen wisely to accept our protection." Rivera straightened her shoulders. No, Ambassador. Earth rejects the terms offered by the Galactic Council. The alien's skin flashed deep blue patterns. That is not an acceptable response. The Council's decision is final. If you will not cooperate willingly, we will establish the monitoring stations without your permission. If you attempt to place any stations on Earth without our consent, we will consider it an invasion, Rivera said calmly. We will defend ourselves. Zorlath's black eyes seemed to grow larger. With what? Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships. You have only two choices, President Rivera. Peaceful acceptance of Council protection or forced compliance. There is no third option. Rivera smiled slightly. There is always another option, Ambassador. At that moment her earpiece crackled. It was Admiral Carter's voice. The devices are in position. 3 jets maintaining station at the coordinates, awaiting your order. Rivera kept her eyes on the alien. Earth wants peaceful relations with the Galactic Council, but as equals, not as subjects. We reject any agreement that surrenders our independence. Then you leave us no choice, Zorlath said. His skin now pulsed with angry blue light. The Council will proceed with protective measures immediately. Containment ships are already on their way to your system. They will establish a blockade around your planet. No human ships will leave Earth's atmosphere without Council permission. That sounds like imprisonment, not protection, Rivera said. It is necessary for galactic security, the alien replied. Young species must be guided firmly, or they become threats to others. You have proven our point by your defiance. Rivera touched her earpiece lightly. Admiral Carter now. High above them, 3 military jets released their special payloads. The devices looked like small satellites, each about the size of a car tire. They began to glow with a blue-white light as they activated. Ambassador Zorlath suddenly looked up. What have you done? He demanded, his voice changing pitch. The giant alien ship above them shuddered visibly. Ripples of energy passed across its smooth surface. The blue beam holding Zorlath's image began to flicker. We've created a disruption field, Rivera explained. It interferes with the folded space technology your ship uses for power. Impossible. Zorlath's image flickered more violently. Your civilization doesn't have that level of technology. We're full of surprises, Rivera said. Tell the Galactic Council that Earth is not defenseless. We will not be bullied or invaded. We are willing to join the galactic community, but only as equals. The alien's image was breaking up now, becoming hard to see clearly. The Council will not tolerate this defiance. More ships, coming. Then we'll be ready for them too, Rivera promised. Go home, Ambassador. Tell your Council to send diplomats next time, not colonizers. The blue beam vanished completely. Above them, the alien ship was now surrounded by a web of crackling energy. It drifted sideways slowly, as if it had lost some control of its position. Rivera's earpiece came to life again. It worked! Dr. Moore's voice was filled with excitement. Their main power system is disrupted. They're operating on secondary systems now. They can probably still travel, but their weapons and shields will be at minimal capacity. Admiral Carter added, all military forces around the world are on high alert. If they try anything, we're ready. Rivera watched as the giant ship slowly began to rise higher in the atmosphere. It was leaving, retreating to the safety of space. Get everyone back to the meeting room, she told her staff. We've won the first round, but the real fight is just beginning. The ambassador said more ships are coming. We need to be ready. As she turned to leave the roof, Rivera looked up at the sky one last time. For thousands of years, humans had looked at the stars and dreamed of meeting alien life. No one had imagined it would lead to this. Earth, standing alone against a galactic power. But they were not as alone as the Council thought. They had their determination, their ingenuity, and now they had the beginnings of technology that could challenge even the advanced aliens. Earth would not surrender without a fight. When Earth's leaders defied the Galactic Council, the galaxy shook. Part 4. Artemis rising 7 days after Earth's leaders had forced the alien ship to retreat, new dots appeared on the global defense system screens. 27 ships had arrived, at the edge of the solar system. They were much smaller than Ambassador Zorlath's ship, but there were many of them. In the underground command center beneath Washington, D.C., Admiral John Carter watched the screens with President Samantha Rivera and military leaders from around the world. They're positioning themselves in a ring around the outer edge of our solar system, Carter explained. It's a blockade just like the ambassador threatened. How long before they reach Earth? President Rivera asked. Dr. Patricia Moore, who now led Earth's new unified science team, studied the data. At their current speed, 4 days, but they're being careful. They're staying far away from each other, probably to avoid all of them being caught in one of our disruption fields. They learned from our first trick, Carter said. They won't fall for the same thing twice, Rivera nodded. Then we need new tricks. Dr. Moore, what's the status of Project Artemis? Dr. Moore brought up new images on the main screen. They showed what looked like satellite dishes being built in facilities around the world. We've completed 15 Artemis units, she said. We're building more, but these should be enough for the first test. Each unit is a more powerful version of the disruption device we used before. But instead of just interfering with their power systems, these are designed to actively collapse the folded space fields their ships use. What will that do to the ships? One of the military generals asked. Dr. Moore looked uncomfortable. We're not entirely sure. Best case, it will disable them completely. Worst case, the fields could collapse catastrophically, finished a scientist standing next to her. It could tear the ships apart. The room went quiet. President Rivera looked at the faces around her. They were talking about weapons that could kill the aliens, not just disable their technology. Is there a way to adjust the power? She asked. To make sure we disable the ships without destroying them? Dr. Moore nodded. We believe so. We can start with lower power settings. But, Madam President, we need to be clear. This is a weapon. We are preparing for war. They declared war when they sent a blockade, Admiral Carter said firmly. They're trying to imprison our entire planet. President Rivera walked to the window that looked out over the command center floor, where hundreds of people worked at computers and communication stations. People from countries that had been enemies just weeks ago now worked side by side. I want the Artemis units ready in 3 days, she said, without turning around. But I want to try diplomacy one more time before we use them. Send a message to the alien fleet. Tell them Earth wishes to discuss terms. The aliens responded within hours. They agreed to a video communication, but refused to send any representatives to Earth. The leader of the alien fleet appeared on the screens in the command center. Unlike Ambassador Zorlath, this alien had blue-gray skin and yellow eyes with vertical pupils like a cat. I am Commander Vexor of the Galactic Council Containment Fleet, the alien said. I will hear your surrender terms. President Rivera stood, tall before the camera. This is not a surrender, Commander. This is a request for mutual respect. Earth is willing to join the Galactic Council, but as an independent member, not as a protected world. The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. You attacked a Council diplomatic vessel. You have proven that humans are too violent and unpredictable to be trusted with independence. The Council's decision is final. You will be contained until you learn to accept guidance. And if we refuse to be contained? Rivera asked. Then we will demonstrate the true power of the Council, Vexor said. The ship you encountered was a diplomatic vessel with minimal defenses. My fleet is equipped for enforcement. You have 2 days to reconsider before we take action. The screen went dark. Admiral Carter turned to Rivera. That went well. He's bluffing, Rivera said. If they could easily overwhelm us, they would have done it already. The fact that they're keeping their distance and trying to intimidate us suggests they're worried about our capabilities. Or they're just following standard procedure for dealing with violent species, Dr. Moore suggested. Remember what Ambassador Zorlath said. They've done this before, they probably have a playbook they follow. Then we need to throw away their playbook, Rivera said firmly. Deploy the Artemis units immediately. I want them in place before the 2-day deadline. For the next 48 hours, there was frantic activity around the world. The 15 Artemis units were loaded onto the most advanced spacecraft Earth had, a mix of military spaceplanes and civilian research vehicles modified for the mission. Each would carry one unit to a specific position in Earth orbit. As the deadline approached, Admiral Carter joined President Rivera in the command center. On the main screen, they could see all 15 spacecraft moving into position. "All Artemis units report ready," Carter said. "They're at 50% power as you ordered. That should be enough to disable the ships without destroying them." "The alien fleet is moving," announced one of the officers monitoring the space screens. "They've increased speed. New estimated arrival time, 6 hours. Rivera looked at the clock. The aliens had moved early, before their own deadline. They were trying to catch Earth by surprise. "They know about Artemis," she said quietly to Carter. "They must have been monitoring our communications." "Or they have spies on the ground," Carter replied. "It doesn't change our plan. The units are ready." Rivera nodded. "Activate Artemis now. Don't wait for them to get closer." Around the Earth, the 15 Artemis units powered up. They didn't look impressive, just satellite dishes pointing outward to space. But as they activated, they began to glow with blue-white energy. In space, the energy from the Artemis units spread outward, invisible until it encountered the approaching alien ships. When it did, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien ships suddenly slowed. Around each vessel, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. Several ships began to drift off course, as if they had lost control. "It's working," Dr. Moore exclaimed, watching the readings on her tablet. "Their folded space fields are destabilizing. They're losing power and control." On the communication system, a harsh voice suddenly spoke. It was Commander Vexor, and he sounded angry. "What technology is this?" he demanded. "No Level 2 civilization should possess such capabilities." President Rivera stepped up to the microphone. "We told you we wouldn't be contained, Commander. Your ships are now at our mercy. We could destroy your entire fleet if we wished." There was a long pause before Vexor spoke again. His voice was different now, more controlled. "It seems we have underestimated your species," he said carefully. "Perhaps there is room for discussion after all." Rivera looked at Admiral Carter, who nodded slightly. This was the opening they had hoped for. "We are willing to discuss terms," Rivera said, "but as equals, not as subjects. The blockade ends now. Your fleet withdraws from our solar system. In exchange, we will not destroy your ships." Another long pause, then, "Agreed. We will withdraw to discuss these developments with the full council. This situation is unprecedented." As the alien ships slowly turned and began to move away from Earth, a cheer went up in the command center. People hugged each other and clapped. Some even cried with relief. Admiral Carter put his hand on Rivera's shoulder. "You did it, Madam President. You stood up to the entire galaxy and won." Rivera shook her head slightly. "This isn't over, John. We've won a battle, not the war. The Council will be back, and next time they'll be better prepared." "So will we," Carter said with confidence. "We've shown that humans can't be pushed around. That's a message the galaxy won't forget." When Earth's leaders defied the Galactic Council, the galaxy shook. Part 5. A new galactic order. 6 months passed after the Galactic Council's fleet retreated from Earth. During that time, humans prepared for the aliens' return. Scientists worked day and night to understand and improve the space disruption technology. Military forces trained together in new ways. For the first time in history, all countries truly worked as one. President Samantha Rivera stood at the window of her office, looking out at the Washington Monument. Admiral John Carter sat across from her desk reviewing reports. "The Artemis network is complete," he said. "We now have 50 units in orbit around Earth, with 10 more around Mars and our lunar bases. If the Council comes back with a bigger fleet, will be ready." "And the diplomatic team?" Rivera asked, turning from the window. "Dr. Lisa Wells has put together 20 experts in language, culture, and negotiation. They've been studying everything we know about the Galactic Council. They believe we can find a peaceful solution when the aliens return." The phone on Rivera's desk beeped. Her assistant's voice came through the speaker. "Madam President, we're receiving a transmission from deep space. It's using the same frequency as the Council ships. Rivera and Carter looked at each other. "Put it through to my screen," Rivera said. The large screen on the wall lit up. Ambassador Zorlath appeared, looking much the same as when they had first seen him 6 months ago. "President Rivera," the alien said, "the Galactic Council requests a meeting with Earth's leaders." Rivera sat down behind her desk, keeping her expression calm. "The last time we met with the Council, Ambassador, it ended with a blockade of our planet. Why should we agree to another meeting?" "Because things have changed," Zorlath said. "The Council itself has changed. Your actions have caused a significant shift in galactic politics." That caught Rivera by surprise. "Explain." When news spread that a Level 2 civilization had successfully defended itself against a Council containment fleet, many protected worlds began to question their status. Several more advanced civilizations also expressed concern about Council policies. After much debate, reforms have been implemented. I have been authorized to discuss a new type of relationship between Earth and the Council. Carter leaned forward. "What kind of relationship?" "One of mutual respect," Zorlath said. "The Council requests permission to send a diplomatic delegation to Earth. No warships, no threats. Just diplomats to discuss the future." Rivera studied the alien's face, trying to read his expression. It was still difficult to understand alien emotions, but she thought he seemed sincere. "We will receive your delegation," she said finally. "But only 3 representatives, and their ship must remain in orbit. They will meet with us at the United Nations." "Agreed," Zorlath said. "We will arrive in 7 Earth days." When the screen went dark, Carter looked at Rivera. "Do you trust them?" "Not entirely," she admitted. "But something has changed. Let's find out what." 7 days later, a small alien ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Unlike the massive vessel from before, this one was just twice the size of a commercial airplane. It landed on a special pad built near the United Nations building in New York. 3 aliens emerged. Ambassador Zorlath, a tall, insect-like being they had not seen before, and a third alien that looked almost plant-like, with green-brown skin and what seemed to be leaves growing from its head. President Rivera, along with leaders from 20 other nations, met them in the UN General Assembly. The room was tense as the aliens walked to the central podium. Zorlath spoke first. "Leaders of Earth, I present Council High Elder Zonta and Records Keeper Phil. They have come to offer a new beginning between our civilizations." The insect-like alien, Zonta, stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice was deep and vibrated strangely. "For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council has followed the same protocols with emerging civilizations. Younger species were placed under protection until they reached certain development milestones. This system worked well for a long time. But systems must evolve or they become rigid and fail." The alien paused, looking around the room. "Earth has shown us that our system was flawed. Your species developed defensive capabilities that surprised us. You united despite your differences when faced with an external threat. You showed courage and ingenuity. These are qualities the galaxy needs." The plant-like alien, Phil, moved forward with a small device in its hand. It activated the device, creating a hologram in the center of the room. The hologram showed a document written in both alien symbols and English. "This is the Treaty of Sol," Phil said in a softer voice. "It establishes a new category within the Galactic Council: independent allied worlds. Earth would be the first world designated as such." Dr. Lisa Wells, now Earth's chief diplomatic advisor, stepped forward to examine the holographic document. "What exactly does this status mean?" she asked. "It means Earth would have full independence," Zorlath explained. "No monitoring stations, no resource restrictions. You would have the right to develop your civilization as you see fit, including your military and space exploration programs. In exchange, you would agree to regular diplomatic exchanges with the Council and to follow certain basic rules of galactic conduct." "What rules?" Admiral Carter asked suspiciously. "No unprovoked aggression against other species. Zonta said. No development of weapons that could destroy entire star systems. No interference with pre-spaceflight civilizations. The same rules that all responsible council members follow. President Rivera looked at the alien treaty, then at the faces of Earth's other leaders. She saw hope and caution in equal measure. We will need time to study this treaty, she said, and we may propose changes. Of course, Zorlath said. Negotiation is expected, but the Council is sincere in its desire for a new relationship with Earth. Over the next week, experts from around the world studied the treaty. They found no hidden traps, no secret clauses that would limit Earth's freedom. The aliens waited patiently, answering all questions openly. Finally, Earth's leaders met again with the Council representatives. We accept the Treaty of Sol, with the minor revisions we've discussed, President Rivera announced. Earth will join the Galactic Council as an independent allied world. Zonta stepped forward. There is one more matter to discuss, your space disruption technology. It is concerning to many Council species. Admiral Carter tensed, but Rivera held up her hand. The Artemis system is defensive, she said firmly. We developed it to protect our independence. We have no intention of using it aggressively. We understand, Zorlath said. But would Earth consider sharing this technology with the Council? Not to give it up, but to work together to understand it better and ensure its safe use? Rivera looked at Dr. Patricia Moore, who nodded slightly. We would consider a joint research program, Rivera said, with proper safeguards and equal exchange of knowledge. Zonta made a gesture that seemed to indicate relief. Then we truly can begin a new era of cooperation. The treaty was signed the next day in a ceremony broadcast around the world. As the aliens and humans exchanged formal copies of the document, Admiral Carter leaned close to President Rivera. Do you think they'll keep their word this time? He whispered. Rivera watched as Zorlath chatted with some of Earth's scientists, seeming genuinely interested in their ideas. I think they've learned that humans won't be pushed around, she said. And maybe we've learned something too, that standing up for ourselves doesn't always have to end in conflict. As the ceremony ended, Ambassador Zorlath approached Rivera one last time. You have changed the galaxy, President Rivera, he said. For the better, I believe. Other protected worlds are now requesting independent allied status. The Council is evolving in ways we never expected. Rivera smiled. Sometimes it takes a small planet to shake a galaxy, Ambassador. We look forward to seeing what the future holds for all of us among the stars.